Burima, sweeper of the stairwell, had not slept in 2 nights, so the morning before the third night she shook the mites out of her bedding. She shook the quilts once underneath the letter boxes where she lived, then once again at the mouth of the alley, causing the crows who were feeding on vegetable peels to scatter in several directions. As she started up the 4 flights to the roof, Burima kept one hand placed over the knee that swelled at the start of every rainy season. That meant that a bucket, quills, and the bundle of reeds which served as a broom all had to be braced under one arm. Lately, Burima had been thinking that the stairs were getting steeper. Climbing them felt more like climbing a ladder than a staircase. She was 64 years old, with hair in a knot no longer than a walnut, and she looked almost as narrow from the front as she did from the side. In fact, the only thing that appeared three-dimensional about Burima was a voice, brittle with sorrows as starter skirts and shrill enough to grate meat from a coconut. It was with this voice that she enumerated, twice a day, as she swept the stairwell, the details of her plight and losses suffered since her deportation to Kolkata after partition. At that time, she maintained, the turmoil had separated her from a husband, 4 daughters, a 2-story brick house, a rosewood almari, and a number of coffer boxes whose skeleton keys she still wore, along with her life savings, tied to the free end of her sari. Aside from her hardships, the other thing Burima liked to chronicle was easier times. And so, by the time she reached the second floor landing, she had already drawn to the whole building's attention the menu of a third daughter's wedding night. We married her to a school principal. The rice was cooked in rose water. The mayor was invited. Everybody washed their fingers in pewter bowls. Here she paused, evened out her breath, and readjusted the supplies under her arm. She took the opportunity to also to chase a cockroach out of the banister poles, then continued. Mustard prawns were steamed in banana leaves. Not a delicacy was spared. Not that this was an extravagance for us. At our house, we ate goat twice a week. We had a pond on our property, full of fish. By now, Burima could see some light from the roof spilling into the stairwell, and though it was only 8 o'clock, the sun was already strong enough to warm the last of the cement steps under her feet. It was a very old building, the kind with bath water that still had to be stored in drums, windows without glass, and privy scaffolds made of bricks. A man came to pick our dates and guavas, another clipped hibiscus. Yes, there I tasted life. Here I eat my dinner from a rice pot. At this point in the recital, Burima's ears started to burn. A pain chewed through her swollen knee. Have I mentioned that I crossed the border with just 2 bracelets on my wrist? Yet there was a day when my feet not touched nothing but marble. Believe me, don't believe me. Such comforts, you cannot even dream them.